Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, Gungas, Jaws, Chaotic Moody Conants, and all you people that like to attach spider legs to your body. You might be like, wow, that's a specific demographic. Well, guess what? It's gonna matter today here on Old Howlnet News, the only news you'll ever need, because you have no other choice. My friends, I can safely say this is the biggest update in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes history. We have some of the most insane characters coming back to back to back to back. Cool new game modes, COLISEUM that was teased, Relic economy changes, and yes, unfortunately, Relic Delta is tucked in here as we're going to talk about. Very smart with how CG did this. Why? Well, let me tell you why. Gary can bring it on down. We have some insane characters coming to the game. Wouldn't you guys agree? And we got even more on top of Spider Legs Maul. So people, calm down, lock in. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is gonna be a long video. This is one of the longest post CGs ever put out, especially highlighting what they're bringing to the game. But let me give you a teaser for what's to come before we go over all the other stuff here. We got a new Spider Legs Maul in what's this new era called the Anniversary Era. Maul Hate-Fueled Edition. We'll check more about this in a moment here. And then on top of that, we also got ourselves, Gary, bring it on top, Stormtrooper Luke Skywalker. We saw that in the Coliseum trailer. We're like, oh, that can't be real. It is. IG-90's showing up, providing Dr. Aphra with the much-needed tank. Holy cow. Boom, home runs, baby. Yoda and Chewie. I can't believe I saw in the trailer, like, this can't be real. It's real. Yoda and Chewie come to the game. Asajj Ventress, Dark Disciple. Holy cow. Inquisitor Barriss, and even Darth Vader's duels end. Wow. If there's a way to make sure they help us swallow the pill of Relic Delta, gosh dang, this is gonna be tough for people to be like, I'm done with this Relic Delta. And then you see this like, oh shoot, I can't leave now. Incredibly smart on CG's end. So let's go ahead, start from the very top. We'll work our way down. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 10-hour video. Okay, maybe not that long, but Relic economy changes, marquee cadence changes, future seasonal content. Oh my gosh, era challenges. Look at these bosses that we're gonna be fighting inside the Coliseum. Relic 10 and Relic Delta on top. It's so funny. They tuck in, here's a little look at Stormtrooper Luke. They tuck in Relic Delta towards the end. It's like a small footnote. Here's the portraits of the new characters right here. My goodness. I am ecstatic. The Relic Delta's they're so wise for not just making Relic Delta its own update. They're just tucking it in with all this. And let's start off at the very top here. That's your Vader's duels. And I wasn't sure if these are actually coming or if it's just pretty art, but it's coming, baby. So here we go. You guys ready for this? Title update and the 10-year anniversary announcement post. And I just want to say to CG, yeah, there's a lot of ups and downs. A lot of dumb decisions that I think were made, a lot of awesome stuff, a lot of amazing memories. I've met a lot of amazing people playing this game over the past decade. I've had a lot of fun. It's the most I've ever spent playing a game. And I hope, even if there's Relic Delta shenanigans, I think they're going to help us swallow the pill a little bit better for that. I hope for many, many more years to come. Being able to be around for 10 years is a huge feat. I think the way I say it is that out of all the EA games combined over the past decade or so, Galaxy has made the most money of revenue than all the other Star Wars games combined from the EA post era, right? So pretty big feat. And yes, I think the Star Wars tag has allowed Galaxies to last a lot longer than probably it should. But to be fair, I've seen other Star Wars games come and go, like Star Wars Hunters. It came and went within months. This game, 10 years strong. I think this is an awesome anniversary in terms of the new stuff that they're bringing to the game. For the most part. So let's hear their words. 10 years, a decade. It's difficult to believe that it's been this long since we first invited you to pull up a seat at the holodeck and begin your journey in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Man, watching that Coliseum trailer today, brought me back to a lot of the cool moments that I've experienced through this game. Together, we achieved numerous milestones, assembled legendary squads, and watched as this incredible community has grown and flourished. Thank you for being in the heart and soul of Galaxy of Heroes and to properly honor this momentous 10-year anniversary and set the stage for the next exciting era of the game. We are thrilled to announce a foundational overhaul and the biggest update we've ever made. And yeah, I could say that. And I've been saying this. I think this year has been overall fairly boring for Galaxy of Heroes. And I'm like, okay, maybe it was just me coping. It's like, okay, we're going to hit it out the park towards the end of the year. Man, if you were snoozing this year, it's time to wake the heck up. If this past mini episode that we've had for the era Deadly Pursuits didn't wake you up already. So we're bringing sweeping change to the structure of the game designed to revitalize the core experience, enhance progression, introduce new ways to play. That's a big thing. One of the biggest concerns I have is that, like, I get Zuckus, like, all right, I can't use it for a few more days. That's kind of a bad model for a game, right? If I get, I should be able to play in meaningful ways immediately. There's a lot of information, so grab a beverage. As I said, find a comfy chair here in our Carpet Club Lounge and enjoy the update notes. So we were already familiar with the eras, right? They introduced the episode system, and with them, we mentioned the concept called eras. These are Galaxy's Heroes' new seasonal structure. The guiding principle of seasonality can be found at the end of this document. So, already generally familiar with this, right? There's usually 3 episodes per era, 6 marquee units, right? 2 per episode, a journey guide, usually at the end of it all. Weekly episode shipments, right? Quests, era challenges, a test your marquee squads, and multiple pieces of content for all players to enjoy. So, periodically, we'll have non-standard eras that may only last 1 episode, sort of like what we're having right now. Eras of Deadly Pursuit, Zuckus is the final piece. We're like, all right, what comes next? Well, the era of Anniversary. Only lasts 1 episode, or that may not have a journey guide event just like this era, but we'll communicate about these as they occur. As part of these changes, we're also expanding the availability of episode quests, the episode track, and the episode pass to all players starting at level 10 instead of level 85. So, all right, that's nice. Players will get a different set of episode quests in each episode, depending on their level when the episode starts. And players who are below level 85 receive a standard set of introductory episode quests, and players at level 85 receive a bespoke set of episode quests for that episode. Additionally, character quests will become available for all players at level 20, which is the same that level that unlocks marquee events. And there we go, the Era of Anniversary. My goodness. Absolutely insane here. Stormtrooper Luke, IG-90, Yoda, Asajj Ventress, Inquisitor, Barriss, man, Darth Vader's end. I may have been underestimated. I'm like, I believe they're going to hit it out of the park. This year has been so snoozy for the most part. I believe it. And I think this is insanely knocking it out of the park here. And as you see, it scrolls down even more. We can't even scroll down more. So era isolation. Eras will be isolated from the rest of the game, which we're referring to as legacy content. During the era in which Marquee and Journey Guide unit is released, both the Journey Guide and Marquee units will be considered an era unit. And then when an era ends, all the current era units become legacy units. When the next era begins, the newest Marquee and Journey Guide units released during this era will be considered era units for its duration. But this is an important distinction for a few reasons. Era units can only be used in era modes, as we're going to learn about more here, and will not be allowed in legacy modes. And era units only use era resource for progression, while legacy units will continue to use existing materials and recipes for upgrades. So again, this will become, I think, a bit more evident, understandable, when we can actually get a hold of it ourselves. Legacy units cannot be used in era modes or be upgraded with era materials. This isolation is primarily to allow players to progress in both the latest content and grow their rosters with legacy content without having to choose where to put their resources, but a more detailed explanation of why this distinction and isolation is important can be found at the bottom of this update. And that's sort of been something I've been saying for a long time now. There hasn't been, they've been upping the ante, right? Increasing the incentive, making the carrot bigger and sometimes the stick stronger, in the case like, for example, Relic Delta, to encourage people to engage with the new characters, right? Because for the longest time, it's like, there's no reason to spend $330 on a character that I have to wait several months to get the full team for, and I can't really use it in Grand Arena because it's not a meta team, and you can see how that becomes a problem. So they've been kind of making it more digestible, making it a greater incentive to get new characters, right? With era battles, right? The raids and stuff like that. But now they're pushing out even further here. So you don't have to choose between, can I focus on the new stuff and old stuff? Because with a game like Galaxy Heroes, right, Elephant Room, they want you focusing on the new stuff and not so much on the old stuff, right? For the longest time, we always say, oh, focus on the old Galactic Legends, old teams. They're trying to change that mentality a little bit, it would seem from this. Era Journey Guides will work a little differently than normal Journey Guide events. The Era Journey events will start in week 9 of the era, which is when the 5th Marquee is released, and then Era Journey Guidance will be available at 4 stars to allow players to use them early during the era. This Era Journey Guide will be structured as follows. Tier 1 requires the first 5 marquees at 4 and era level 45, and will unlock the Journey Guide unit at 4. I'm more of like, I need to play it to understand it. The 5 era Journey Guide unit will require 5 marquee units at 5, and then the 6-star and 7-star versions of the Journey Guide will become available when the 6th marquee releases, and will require all 6 marquees at 6 stars and 7 stars respectively. And a significant amount of the time after the era, the Journey Guide will become a legacy event, but it will have different requirements as the marquees will no longer be era units. So let's talk about the era level. So this is a whole new UI that we have not seen before. New currencies. Don't we love currencies? To support our design pillars, we're introducing a new progression system for era units. The system uses new resource instead of legacy gear or relic materials. Now, this might help a bit with some of the issues that we have with Relic Delta, but let's keep reading it. Allowing all players to simultaneously continue their existing farms and chases while building up and playing the new units. Again, kind of hammering the point home I said a moment ago. They don't want you deciding between Stormtrooper Han and the new Stormtrooper Luke. Yay, Stormtrooper Luke. Exciting stuff, right? They want you just always focusing on the new stuff. So they're trying to alleviate the concern of trying to keep up with older stuff, right? Era levels are a linear progression path that unlocks stats or abilities at each level. Unit stars is another way to power up your era units and are required to upgrade era levels beyond certain levels. So 4-star is required for level 66 plus, 5 stars required for 76 plus, 6-star required for 86 plus, and 7 stars required for level 91 plus here. I'm not sure if did I maybe miss something. Is there? I'm not sure if that's tied to this here, or are we getting a level increase to the game's totality? Because right now we're at level 85, right? So maybe I missed something here, but let's keep reading. Let's say, I think it's just era level. Yeah, okay. I'm making sure I didn't miss anything. It's just these era levels. There's here we go. Levels, yeah, there we go. 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Okay. I was like, wait, are we getting a level increase too? Anyways, sorry, moving on here. Players need a variety of era materials to upgrade a unit's era level. These can be earned from participating in the era through this new game mode called COLISEUM, era marquee events, era journey events, and episode track milestones, or purchase from the store. When era units become legacy units at the end of an era, their era level will convert into the character level, gear tier, relic level, and ability level associated with that era level. So I'm guessing this, for example, you park at 31 for the era level. When it's over, as you can see, there's a timer up there. It'll convert. Oh man, that was so close to the perfect amount of days. You would get the gear level 7, right? That's the way I'm understanding this here, correct? So it'll convert into character level, gear tier, relic level, and ability level associated with that era level. Any era materials and era currency will be converted into legacy materials at the end of an era. The specifics of this new economy are still being finalized, but here are some examples of how your era units will be converted over. Era level 65, for example, you'll get level 85, gear 12 base, ability tier 7. And this is where they expect most players to reach free to play. Now, that would be quite interesting if people, for free, they're going to be able to get a gear 12 character without even trying. I need to see it in action. I need to see it in my hands. On paper, that sounds nice, right? I mean, come on, that sounds good, right? Especially if that means I could bypass a lot of the Chirotech trash. Especially lately, I'm on my free-to-play account. I was like, man, this Chirotech. I mean, of course, I've been with Chirotech since it was ideated into the game, right? It's such a buzzkill. It's just seeing that mental Chirotech wall just like kills my excitement sometimes. This will help bypass a lot of that problems, it would seem like. If you're era level 80, you get level 85, relic 2, ability level 7. So I'm guessing you need to spend a little bit of moolah perhaps. And then maxing out the era, you get relic 6, ability level 8, which includes Zeta abilities. This seems interesting. Let's keep going, though. Now, let's look at the first round of changes coming to the game in support of eras, followed by what players can look forward to the next year. So here we go. The new Coliseum experience is finally here in Star Wars Galaxy. Here's a little look at the Coliseum, and here we go. Coliseum is a new game mode and the first era mode to be added to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Unlocking at player level 10. This game mode pits individual players against formidable foes from the Star Wars universe. Bosses will rotate daily, with players attempting to achieve new high scores each day. And these high scores will earn rewards in 2 ways. One-time rewards for reaching certain score milestones that reset each era, and daily leaderboard rewards for competing against other players' high scores for the day. Now, I might be misremembering this a little bit. I thought at one point someone at CG was talking about, we're interested in PvPvE, right? Or PvEVP, right? So player versus environment, but there's still a player versus player element here. So you're competing against the boss, trying to get a high score, competing with other players for that high score, right? So that's kind of, maybe if I'm remembering right, maybe this is what they were talking about. The Coliseum leaderboard is one of the primary places to earn the new Relic 10 materials. More on that below, just hold on. So this is going to be important for a variety of reasons, Relic 10 being one of them. To support this new leaderboard, players will be randomly assigned to new era shards. So just like you have Squad Arena shards that never update, we have era shards. These are similar to Squad Arena, Fleet Arena shards, but are completely separate. An era shard is not tied to a player's squad or Fleet Arena shard and will not affect either of those in any way, which makes sense. One of the problems with Squad Arena, Fleet Arena shards, essentially, it buckets you with other people that started at a similar time with you. And the thing is, well, you never get new blood in there, right? And so that's one of the problems of how that was, and that's why they eventually moved this to a Grand Arena system. And I also think it gave CG more control over your crystal inventory, because now they can control it a bit more with Grand Arena, where Squad Arena, it's a lot harder for them to kind of control that crystal income. Players will be randomly assigned to a new shard each era, giving everyone an opportunity to prove their mettle against a variety of opponents. And here we go, event info. Look at it, we have Jotaz, the Zepho Tomb Guardians. Look at this, even some new things here, right? Like the Zepho Tomb Guardians we saw, the Dryax here, the Pirate ATST. So I'm assuming you're kind of smart, right? We've seen so many cool like mini bosses from events that you just sim, or you just don't play anymore because it's old content that you need to play the newer content. It's cool that they're bringing some of those bosses, and we're gonna get some other stuff on top of that. So here's the overview, I'm guessing, on the first bosses that they're bringing. Era challenges now are another place to earn the era units in this release. These will be replacing galactic challenges, thank goodness, in an effort to help manage how much time players spend completing their daily tasks. The difficulty tiers are balanced around having era units and squads at certain era levels, and defeats reward those appropriately. These will be available during the weeks between marquee release, and players will have a full week to complete as much as they can on their own schedule. Yeah, I kind of feel like, I don't know, I feel like the galactic challenges didn't really like fully hit. You know, of course, you know, it gets you the extra rewards and whatnot. It just, something didn't feel right about it. So maybe this era challenges might be a better way of going about it. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. Time in game, so, AKA Hell Week, because when when Grand Arena is done, the good mode for Galaxiers, you get the territory battles, the conquest. Yeah, it can kind of layer on, then you have the raids. So time needed to compete all the event and modes daily is an important topic to discuss as part of all these changes. With the addition of Coliseum and managing an era roster on top of your existing roster, it is critical that we ensure the time spent in game daily doesn't increase significantly. Well, it's one of those things, like, I don't mind spending time playing a game. I want it to be meaningful time. Like, I don't consider conquest to be meaningful time. I mean, to be honest, I don't really see the raid as meaningful time. I don't know. Meaningful is very subjective too. Like for me, I get the most bang for buck and excitement when I first play raid for the first time, right? Like that's fun, but then when I got to repeat it all the time, it's like it loses its flavor. Grand Arena for me is when I feel like I have the most meaningful time spent. So I think that's the problem. What does meaningful mean? Some people love Conquest more than Grand Arena, right? So it varies per person. But for me, it's like, I don't mind spending a lot of time playing. I want to enjoy my time playing and not feel like I'm just doing chores. We designed the systems and scaled the eras to something far more manageable. For this release, Coliseum is a huge focus, but we were careful to ensure that only a few battles a day are needed to compete most of the era content in advance of the leaderboard. Your score for each Coliseum boss is a higher watermark that persists over the era. This is neat, which means once you achieve your best score, you don't need to keep battling over and over again that day. Thank you. Thank you. People have been wanting something similar like this for the raid, right? You just hit your score, just keep that score. I don't want to keep doing the same score over and over again. A new type event is Era Challenges, which replaces Galactic Challenges every other week. Players have 7 days to complete Era Challenge. I think this is one of the things, you know, partly me. Sometimes I forget that there's a Galactic Challenge. I miss it. 7 days, it's harder to miss. And use their newly powered up Era Squads. This should make Era Challenges less time intensive than Galactic Challenges overall. Again, we'll have to wait and see, but we'll take their word for it, you know. Lastly, we want to reduce some time spent in conquest and territory battles. Thank you. Thank you. For players who are over-invested in the squads needed for the zone. Well, this is where Relic Delta, it's kind of like Datacrons. There are some positive things about Datacrons, but I think there are more negatives to Datacrons than positives, right, when it comes to the acquisition and all the other RNG factors and whatnot. Just like Relic Delta, I think there's going to be some negative side effects, as we've been talking about, but I do think there's some positive effects. Here are one of the things where it could be positive in a PvE sense, where Relic Delta make those battles faster and need less micromanaging during the encounters, right? So you can just, if you're bringing in, let's say, Relic 9 to the Relic 5 planets, easy money. The question is, how many people have Relic 9? You know, territory battles is definitely more of a focus on how much relics you have rather than do you have the teams. Anywho's, moving on. In the future, we will continue to examine which modes should be supplanted by the era system and which ones are the important drivers of your legacy roster that just stay front and center. We are scrutinizing which areas of the game are not only time intensive, but become repetitive once mastered. This is space we are continuing to examine and determine if they should be addressed with quality of life changes or removed entirely. More on this in the future as we watch this release closely for how it impacts time spent in game. So we got some Cantina changes too. We have long wanted to spice of the Cantina of new character, story element tie-ins to the current events within Star Wars Galaxies and more. Yeah, this I guess the thing I wish they did more often, like for example in Raid Challenge, they're always like changing their version of Cantina, right? So it's the Halloween season. They always do some really cool stuff for Halloween, or when the Christmas season comes around, or when they have their anniversary, which is like springtime, they always like have all this cool stuff. It's unfortunate that Galaxers doesn't add a new coat of fresh paint to like their splash screen, because they make some really cool splash screen. I was like, I wish there was more of this stuff, or just their Cantina. Well, here's what they're doing. Well, our art team is hard at work preparing larger changes, right? And of course, this is definitely not a top priority thing, right? If you had to pick between one or the other with a little bit of resource that you have, I understand that, sprucing up the Cantina might not be top tier priority. We want to put out seasonal content front and center. To facilitate this, we've condensed the light side, dark side battles tables into Cantina and renamed it the Campaigns table. We'll be continuing to work on modernizing our Cantina in an update schedule for next year. Our goal is to provide an easily navigated home screen that informs you of the most relevant information to you and what exciting new content has been released. So I don't know if this is a sample of what's to come, and they just kind of rename some stuff and they bring the boss and the era unit up front and center. Small changes. I don't think we should expect that they're gonna constantly do these big overhauls to their Cantina, but one could dream, right? Moving on. Future seasonal content. Oftentimes, players will be building 2 or even 3 squads out of a marquee and journey guide units they are unlocking during an era. And we want to support player agency in developing those squads early next year. We plan to release what's called loaned units, a system where players will be temporarily granted a variety of additional era units based on legacy units for use in era modes. And I'm a huge fan of this on a conceptual level, right? Because it kind of sucks when I'm playing, let's say we tested out SWGoH today, right? It's like, man, it kind of sucks. Not a lot of people can play along, with me, right? Play with these characters themselves. Well, being able to get loaned a unit, this is awesome. It's test driving it. Maybe you become super enthralled by it. You love it. And you're like, hey, I'll spend money, or I'll redirect resources towards this. Loaned units will not require direct investment to increase the power, and they will go away at the end of an era. So again, you're test driving. Until then, we're utilizing summon units with Coliseum to provide a better and more well-rounded combat experience. So that's cool. It always sucks when you get new characters and you guys can't enjoy those characters for 3-6 months. Like, I'm just getting my clones to Relic on my free-to-play account. It's been, 6 months whenever they came out? That's with me putting a focus on them too, right? We recognize that there are players who want to duke it out in direct PvP rather than fight big bosses. With that in mind, this 100% is what I'm more interested in. I mean, the Coliseum thing looks cool, but I want a new PvP game mode. Territories has an issue. Grand Arena's got its issues. And I still love Grand Arena more than Territories. I'm sure you guys heard me say that once or twice. With that in mind, we want to bring a new PvP mode to eras in the future. For this to be a compelling PvP experience, it needs to be supported by loaned units and a system for stat differentiation. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But however, they said era PvP mods can be complicated, and they introduce a wider variance in player experience and competitive viability based on random rolls. And you kind of are also making a case for why datacrons are kind of a similar thing, but at least datacrons, they come and go quickly, whereas mods, it's definitely a longer term problem. While the system provides interesting texture to legacy content and long-term progression, it is not conducive to seasonal content where all players start from the same place each era. With all that said, any era PvP will be introduced alongside a new system for stat differentiation among era units that will allow era PvP to be an intriguing competitive landscape for players to deeply engage with. More of the next era features as we get closer to their releases. So I'm so happy to see that they're saying that there's a big opportunity, or a big need, I should say, to revamp the PvP experience. Because a lot of this is mostly PvE, or you could say PvEVP, whatever you want to call it, with the Coliseum. We should note that this is not the end of legacy content, as the era system works in conjunction with the new events. They don't want you picking between new and old, because they don't want you. It's kind of a two-tailed problem. They don't want you sacrificing the new content for the old content, because they need you to always be working on the newer things, right? That's how these type of games work. But at the same time, you can't just completely forget about the old stuff, because it supports, well, the other stuff that's going on in the game. So they're trying to make sure you're doing both simultaneously. We have many plans for more features on content like raids, territories, and units in the future. I'm excited about this. It's good. We've been kind of like left in limbo land. Like, hey, are you guys aware that your PvE and PvP seems a bit off right now? It's good to see that this is, indirect confirmation that they're looking into, they're adding more stuff. So big fan of that. Good stuff. It seems like, again, we got to wait and see what's in our hands, but it sounds good. I don't see anything that's offensive off the first few words I see on this. Now we got legacy changes alongside the new era content. We have a number of changes coming to the rest of the game. Let's take a high look at what those are. So a long time ago, we established a cadence for marquee units. Since then, we've added the cadence, started to become an accelerated proxy 1 year later, and introduced new versions of marquee events. With the introduction of eras, we are evolving marquees to the next stage. Players will be granted all of the marquee units from an era the first time they log in during that era. These units will not be accessible for upgrades or battle use until their individual marquee event starts, but they will exist in your roster. This way, again, big fan of this. All players will have access to the same marquee units at the same time, even if a particular marquee event is missed during an era. You'll still want to play the marquee while it's active to earn more shards for your era units, though. It also helps players jump straight into era content again. It sucks, like, for the longest time. It's like, oh, look at this, I don't know, the Stranger's here in Galaxies, or he's coming. And it's like, oh, that's awesome. Then they come to the game, they're like, well, I don't have any online forces, I don't have Star Killer. Well, this isn't for me. And this is, again, what the way to see how it actually pans out. But one of the biggest things about games like this, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's awesome that this game has lasted 10 years. Again, as I said, incredible feat, right? You know, takes a lot to make a game last this long, right? Even if it is Star Wars, you still need to put a lot of work to make the game last long. But the downside of a game lasting this long, when a new player is coming to the game, they are drowning in Kyrotech and characters and mods they got to catch up on. I'm hoping this addressed the problem, especially when I look at, you know, if you assume some of the public-facing data is correct, it seems like there is a new player acquisition that's a little bit subpar compared to other games that are similar to this genre. Maybe this will be one of those things that helps players out. 'Cause when you bring new players in, they want to play with the new stuff for the most part, I would assume, right? Not so much maybe doing stuff from 2016. So it sounds like this is going to be a good way to have people, if they see that ad, let's say, for example, you know, Darth Vader, the new Duel's End or whatever. I want to play with that right now, right? I don't want to wait 2-3 years to finally get a hold of it. Anyways, the other notable change to marquee units is when they transition to shipment nodes and accelerated status. Marquee character shards will be available in shipments approximately the second week after their release era ends, and they become legacy characters. Marquee character shards will be farmable on a node approximately 13 weeks after their marquee event ends, so about 3 months, right? And marquee character shards will become accelerated around 1 year after the start of the release era, so pretty much what we expect already. Even this would mean an individual character may become accelerated earlier than 1 year after the marquee event. This also, when a marquee units are eligible for lights tokens, as a change from our earlier plan of having them become eligible 1 year after the end of the era. All right, so we're leading up to Relic Delta, Relic 10, and all that. As we've been saying for the longest time, part of the way to cushion the impact of Relic Delta, which it feels like largely it's been unpopular, right? One of the things you get impacted with, well, of course, putting a lot of pretty characters that we're looking forward to. The other thing to cushion the impact is the Relic economy changes. Let's take a look at it. As part of this major eras update, there will be a number of changes to the Relic economy. Eras create a path for players to reach the higher tiers of relics if they want to invest deeper in their squads. Relics are also a critical part of the rewards of the era, and there are 3 ways we are improving the Relic experience for players. So, they're going to reduce the pinch of gear in Relic materials. Okay. Increase the inflow of Relic resources to a majority of players. Improve access to Relics. So, I need more specifics. Well, they go in a bit more specifics here. So, first part, reduce the pinch of gear in Relic materials. The first way we're reducing some of the Relic pressure on your rosters through the changes to eras. Eras significantly change how players interact with legacy units progression, as era levels provide a head start on new units when they convert at the end of an era. This reduces the amount of gear needed for new units and instead can be used at the scavenger to obtain the Relic materials you want. Again, if I'm looking at that earlier picture with Stormtrooper Luke, if players can bypass a lot of the content, even if, you know, we take a CG's word at it, that people free to play, you know, what does free to play mean? You know, we'll have to wait and see what, you know, what that means, right? You know, because you can be free to play 12 million and also free to play 4 million GP, you know what I mean? But if you can skip a lot of that content, that alone makes this a much easier pill to swallow. But outside the newest units, era rewards also impact many older journeys. License tokens are rewarded from engaging or investing in the era and can be used on legacy units to accelerate access to squads and journey guide events. Again, this reduces the amount of gear you need for the journey guide requirements. I mean, yeah, like for example, we have like a Carbonite Rebel Fighter Lightspeed token. I applied it on my Saw Gerrera. It saved me a little bit of Kyrotech, right? Not like incredibly full, but it's Kyrotech I could use somewhere else, right? Journey guide requirements up to speed and freeing up gear to be used elsewhere. Our goal for eras is to be an efficient way to acquire journey guide units and power up your roster. Additionally, to alleviate some pressure on Relic materials for Relic 9, we are removing fragmented signal data, chromium transistor, and erodium heat sinks from the Relic 9 recipe. Some of the annoying aspects of getting to Relic 9. Now, you know, to be fair, erodium heat sinks, chromium transistor, I mean, especially chromium transistors, we generally know the sweet money spot to get a lot of those in bulk. I think the signal data is probably gonna be the more interesting part here. Let's pull up a character here. Let's look at someone that requires a relic 9. Oh where, give me a relic 8 character. Oh where can it be? C3PO. Hey, how we doing, buddy? So I want to get up there, you know, and right now, from what I understand this correctly, Gary, hide my beautiful, beautiful face. I know it's too beautiful to hide. We're gonna get rid of the chromium transistors, iridium heat sinks. Again, those are generally the easier pieces to put together, I feel like, but I think it's the being able to skip out on 30 fragmented signal data. It helps out a little bit. That helps out a little bit. It would have been nice if they like got rid of Zimbo cards or, you know, something like that. But anyways, let's keep reading. All these changes combine allow you to use less gear for upgraded units and save gear for the scavenger to get the relics you want faster. So it's a change. I was maybe hoping for other pieces, but it's a change. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what it feels like. You know, maybe you guys are satisfied with this here. But let's keep moving. We have increased amount of relic material inflows. The other thing. Right? So we have another aspect that we got to look at. Yes, the actual crafting, but getting more materials, right? While reducing the number of places you need gear, it is important to get more relic materials into players' inventories. This primarily comes from the updates to Milestone on the free episode track. So relic 1 through 5 materials and tier 1 through 6 data will be replacing existing Galactic Challenge salvage boxes on the free episode track milestones. Players engaging daily in eras will still be able to complete the episode track, and we expect most players to be able to earn these resources monthly. Again, we'll have to wait and see about that. You know, it's hard to say, right? It could be anecdotal, but I see a lot of people, sometimes they struggle because of Galactic Challenges, missing out on some of the feats, because they just can't access it because they didn't buy the pass. They don't have a 7-star new unit. They're not maxing it out. So we'll have to wait and see what that looks like. On top of that, we are updating episode shipments to include items like signal data, fragmented and incomplete, so players can use their extra episode currency to also boost their relic farms. So, again, I need to see it because, well, let's just say the exchange rate for some of these are not the greatest. Like 1,000 for 2 pieces, that's not really moving the needle much, especially when this only refreshes once a week. So again, we have the generalities, but I need the specifics as to the cost. And then we have this. Improve access to relics, right? All right, let's see this. Let's see, can we take it home? The country roads, more resources and less pressure on gear when upgrading characters is great, but without access to more of the important materials to upgrade higher tier relics, players will be unable to utilize these additional resources. With that in mind, the scavenger will be updated with the following changes, and droid brains are now on the menu. So here we go. Mark 12 Armatech Tactical Data Prototype, 270 points. You get 9 points for the salvage, 450 points with Chirotech, which a lot of you guys might have a bit of a shock factor on this. Well, again, assuming these arrow level things are working like I imagine, it seems like a lot of people should be able to start saving on Chirotech and not need to worry about it. This seems like they're trying to basically turn Chirotech into the Carbantes, where for the most part, Mark 5 stun guns, Mark 3 stun cuffs, and Carbantes, I already say that, became a non-issue. And then Chirotech was the focal point of the gear crunch. It seems like they're trying to alleviate majority of that Chirotech, and maybe you'll have some left over. Another thing, it's kind of weird to say, if you've been doing the minimum buying the characters lately, they've been putting tons of Chirotech in those. And I'm not trying to flex here because I know this is not representative of most people, but I'm sitting on like 5,000 of these, almost 5,000 of the Mark 7s, right? But let's take a look at these, for example. Points to create 1 arrow magnifier, 175 points. So let's go and pull up our favorite guy in the whole wide world. So we go down to, well, the problem is we actually don't have an arrow magnifier. We want to see what the scrap cost is, but I guess what I'm trying to show now, I thought for some reason my brain was like, oh, we already have those crafted. No, what I'm forgetting is that these are available, at least the arrow magnifiers, are available inside of the guild store, right? You can pick them up here, and for the most part, with the new relic economy, or the gear economy that we got with the new raids, I haven't had a crazy issue on my main account, my free-to-play account, to generally keep on top of this, right? Unless I'm upgrading like 20 characters at once. Yeah, that's when we're going to run into a problem. But for the most part, the shipments have helped with that. But now they're giving us a new way for the droid brains, where again, you can use Chirotech to craft these, and then the Armatech Tactical Data Prototypes on top of that. So right now, I will say on the face value, I think this is going to maybe shock a lot of people that these are primarily a function of Chirotech. I'm trying to imagine down the road, once the era stuff kind of settles in with their new era units, era levels, whatever they're calling it, maybe Chirotech are going to be in a spot where we feel comfortable scrapping those away, So I'll have to kind of see how this is all going to pan out down the road. But these are now craftable, which is nice. Gives you another area of opportunity. Just mostly a Kyrotech function, but hopefully maybe you don't need to worry about those as much since we have these tactical data prototypes here. All right, well now we also have a new signal data recipe. So check this out, corrupted signal data. Now you can craft some of these, which is pretty interesting. So I guess this is gonna be nice because one of the biggest concerns that some people have is that, well, Cantina energy is, you want to farm the new characters, but you have to farm up relics, and especially when you get to the higher tier stuff, it can be a bit annoying. So now you can at least scrap some of these to get this new corrupted signal data. So we got to wait and see what that ends up looking like. And I think, again, they're probably, gosh, I hate showing this because I totally know this part's not relatable to a lot of people, but this new signal data that's coming, they're probably looking at like my account that has like 4,000 of them. It's like, all right, how do we drain this guy's signal data dry? Well, this new corrupted signal data is what they're looking at here and scrapping all this up to convert into that. So, but I understand not a lot of people are sitting on 5,000 signal data per piece. So let's get to the next part. In addition to scavenger, raid shipments are being updated. Electrum, Conductor, and Zipital cards are being changed from costing Mark III raid to Mark II. Cool. That's nice. So, you can focus on letting the Mark IIIs focus on, the aero magnifiers, for example, or the laptops. Carbonate circuit board, bronze iron, chromium transistor, and rhodium heatsinks are being changed from Mark II to Mark I. Big fan of that. Big fan of that. Where now they'll cost 35 Mark I raid tokens each. I don't know what the quantities are here, but that's great because generally it's been ill-advised to take your Mark II currency and buy bronze and wiring. Although I wish there was a more pragmatic way of getting all that stuff here, but like there's 900 Mark IIs for a 2-piece bronze and wiring, garbage deal. But if it's the Mark I currency, which generally I think even on my free-to-play, I'm swimming in thousands of or hundreds of these pieces, I'd be pretty down. Again, it depends on the currency. If it's like 10,000 Mark Is for just 2 pieces, I don't know, Joe. But the goal here is to make these relic materials easier and cheaper to acquire. And also, updated rarity requirements. The number of stars required for certain relic amplifier levels has been reduced as well. So Relic 4 now requires 5 stars, reduced from 6. This is a pretty new thing. Like we just had the low stars getting to relics, right? So now they're kind of changing it up a little bit. Relic 5 now just requires a 6 stars, reduced from 7. And then Relic 6 is now the first relic amplifier level to require 7 stars. And especially as we start getting into Relic Delta, my theory has been, it seems like Relic 7 is going to be the new minimum if you want to survive in a Relic Delta world. And honestly, maybe even Relic 8, assuming Relic 10 is going to be something we start seeing soon. So when we lift the floor of relics for many players, we also want to raise the ceiling with the introduction of Relic 10. Earned from era shipments, Relic 10 materials will be the most valuable for players competing at high end of Grand Arena Championships and territories. Pretty much all up until this point, this has been very new, mid-game friendly, cool, interesting ways of catching up on relic stuff. But at the same time, they need to give something for the whales, the Krakens, the people that keep the lights on for the game. So this is where maybe some of you guys might not be too enthused by this, but it's something that they gotta do. So they're keeping people up, but they want to give something that gives people an advantage still in a game like this. Relic 10 materials will be the most valuable for players competing at high end of Grand Arena Championships and Territory Wars. While new units and content are exciting for our most veteran players, the competition at the top end of PvP is what drives the excitement for many of our top players. Yeah, it's funny. Galaxy's lasted for many years before, and actually I think even more financially successful years before Grand Arena came around, right? But for me nowadays, it's like if there was no Grand Arena, I don't know what would be keeping me excited in this game, right? But they're right about that. Increasing accessibility of Relic 9 means players should feel more comfortable with pushing their competitive squads to higher Relic. And here we go. This is some major context why Relic Delta is important and how the access relics is becoming easier. Speaking of which, Relic Delta. Thanks to the efforts of those involved in the recent playtests, we have finalized the values for Relic Delta as shown below. This system will not be active in Conquest during the Stranger arcs. That's good. So we're not going to be hit with the crazy shock. Oh my gosh, we were in a groove for Conquest. Now you messed it up. But for the Conquest arc after the Stranger, we are working on changes to improve quality of life and ease pain points. That Relic Delta's effects on the Conquest experience is purely positive. We'll have to wait and see what that looks like. Here are the numbers. So let's just read them each one by one in case you're listening to this more like a podcast style. So if you are 5 relics below the Defender, 60% damage reduction. 4 relics below the defender, 40%. Remember, this is... I know there's a lot of confusion on this, so yeah, 5 characters versus 5 characters, right? This is looking on a mono-e-mono situation. So let's say you have a character at Relic 5 hitting a Relic 9. It's going to be a different equation versus that same Relic 5 attacking a Relic 6 character, right? So it's an individual character-on-character basis. It's not like looking at your squad average. Continuing on, if you're 3 relics below, so for example, Relic 5 versus Relic 8, you take a 25% damage reduction. And this is why I think they really want to kind of keep us in a Relic 7 realm, assuming you're fighting Relic 9s. If you're 2 relics below, so let's say, again, 7 versus 9, you take a 10% reduction, or they take a 10% reduction in your damage. And if you're 1 relic below, so Relic 8 versus Relic 9, 5%, which, let's be honest, you're not going to notice that probably too much, right? And then if you have the advantage, so you are, let's say, in the situation you're 1 relic above, so Relic 6 versus Relic 5, you do an additional 5% damage. If you're Relic 7 versus Relic 5, for example, or Relic 9 versus Relic 7, whatever it might be, 10% increase. So again, you're not going to notice it much. You'll probably start noticing it once you're 3 relics off. So Relic 8 versus Relic 5, Relic 9 versus Relic 6, Relic 10 versus Relic 7. 33% increase in your damage to them. If you're 4 relics above, so Relic 10 versus Relic 6, for example, 70% extra damage. And if you're 5 whole relics above, so I think this is where a lot of people are a bit worried about the current way the game is structured. A lot of people, for example, you know, you might be doing like a Relic 5, Relic 4 versus a Relic 9, and that's when you start getting to this 4 or 5 relic difference. There'll be 150% damage increase if someone, for example, is using, I don't know, a Relic 9 versus a Relic 4. So pretty big change in damage. And we knew this was critical, but difficult change to make. And I don't blame them. I think it's pretty evident. This is something you don't really want to do. It's not a feel-good feature. But understanding how these games work, and even myself saying over the years, like, there really hasn't been an incentive for Relic 9. I still don't think this is the way to go about it. Maybe the relic economy changes will make this more digestible. We have to wait and see what that world looks like, which is why we ran a playtest to help tune this to the appropriate levels. Thanks to your feedback, we lowered the overall impact. I mean, we assumed they were going to do it. They came in hot, they kind of got the shock and awe factor, and then we knew they were going to come down, right? They had it before, a 200% increase and decrease in damage, which was extreme, right? Even now, the numbers above are something we'll monitor closely to ensure there's a robust meta based on squad synergy and strategy that respects players' ability to theorycraft and push squads to their limit. If you want to know more about the Relic Delta and our intentions and its impact, check out our design chat on Relic Delta. So, you know, this is kind of the boogeyman that we've been waiting for. A lot of people are like, this is going to decide if I keep playing this game. I can't promise you what this looks like right now. Of course, I have concerns, especially with grander rate of matchmaking. You know, again, my freedom, I'm always going up against big accounts. And especially, you know, there's times 14, 13 million. It's like, it's already disheartening. Seeing this could be even more disheartening. But if these relic economy changes are as substantial as just trying to position them as, maybe it won't be as bad. But the way I'm looking at it now, assuming that you're fighting, let's say, a lot of relic 8s and 9s, it seems like you really want to try to be 2 relic levels below at the worst. 3 maybe. You don't want to be 4 or 5 below. That's when things really get out of hand. So, you know, if you're fighting relic 9, you know, you maybe want to try to be at relic 7, maybe relic 6 at the minimum. So we'll have to wait and see, but I definitely expect that they want people to increase those relics even more. Moving on, though, now that I see it, I don't think they really talked about what Relic 10 specifically is going to add. Like, is it going to be speed, more health, protection? They didn't really go into the specifics on that. Maybe down the road more. They'll talk about that. And now we have episode track updates. This release also contains a number of changes to the episode track. With the release of the era levels and a variety of era materials will be added to the episode track. The Pass and the Pass Plus will contain even more era materials to accelerate your marquee upgrades and help you climb the Coliseum leaderboards. Additionally, Relic 1 through 5 materials and Tier 1 through 3 signal data will replace gear on the free episode track milestones. Again, it seems like they're moving us away from the traditional gear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 right, experience, and they want to kind of focus majority of that on the relic itself, right? Overall, this adds more value to the episode track, the Pass, and the Pass Plus, while the price will remain the same. Now, I've always said the Pass itself, you know, it's fine. I never bought like the Ultra Pass that jumps you several steps ahead, but you know, we'll have to see. Maybe there's gonna be more of an incentive for that. Galactic Challenge episode points migration with the system. With this release, we're discontinuing Galactic Challenge in their current form and adapting the GC system to create a new era challenges as detailed above. Again, I'm a fan of just replacing Galactic Challenges. Episode points awarded from these feats have been fully distributed across episode quests. Only the points from feats requiring episode pass ownership were applied to the quest requiring it. Specific points changes to the episode quest are as follows. So free episode quest reward from 5,000 up from 2,000. Episode quest requiring episode pass award are from 4,000 now to 7,000, and the chapter headline quests are now from 8,000 to 11,000, so giving us more points to move along the path. So hopefully, again, people, especially free to play, you'll be able to still complete a majority of it, preferably all of it. There's also new daily quests for playing the Coliseum, making 8 total individually daily quest rewards have changed as follows. So the daily quest rewards, excuse me, man, too much talking here. I'm choking on my words. I'm just so excited about getting rid of galactic challenges. Daily quest reward, 300 EP reduced from 350. Completing all daily quest rewards, 1,600 episode points increased from 1,500. This results in an overall increase of 50 episode points per day just from the daily quest, right? So now you have 4,000 instead of 3,950, or 1,400 per episode. Now the Lightspeed tokens. Future Lightspeed tokens have tiers updated to better match current character power levels. These consumables will still instantly upgrade characters, but now grant higher gear and relic tiers. Note that this does not affect any existing Lightspeed tokens. So if you have Carbonite, you're going to get level 85, 3 stars, gear 12, and ability level 3. So this is nice. I was just talking about SWGoH, like it bumped me to gear, and I was like, yeah, whatever. But now if the Carbonite's going to take you to gear 12 again, I can't promise anything until we really see the long term of it, but from what I'm envisioning, I know it's a bit of a shock factor seeing that Kyrotech's required as a crafting piece for, Aero Magnifier's droid brains. Again, it seems like they're helping us skip out on hundreds of Kyrotech per character if they are doing this air leveling thing, or they're doing these new Carbonite tiers where now they're taking us to gear 12. Again, this seems very positive. I don't have much to complain about this. It's going to come down to accessibility, like how many of these are we going to get. Tier 2, the Bronzium now takes you to 4 stars, Relic 1. Tier 3, 5 stars, Relic 3. Tier 4, level 85, 6 stars, Relic 5, ability level 6. And then the Kyber will take you straight to 7 stars, Relic 6. But again, kind of like what I've been saying, it seems like you want to take it to Relic 7 at the minimum for the Relic Delta world. I think a lot of the problem with that Relic Delta is that we're definitely keeping in mind with the current state of the economy in Galaxy Heroes and the way the grand arenas and territories are set up. A lot of this, I think we just gotta understand things are gonna change. It seems like for the better in terms of getting our characters up and running more. All the upgrades granted by each Lightspeed token remain the same. And all right, if that was, I would say, quote unquote, the least interesting stuff, I mean, I'm definitely underselling it, but there's a lot of interesting stuff going on there. I think overall this is a step in the right direction. Yeah, the Relic Delta is not a good pill to swallow, but it seems like overall they're really trying to kind of get us out of the old gearing system and focusing more on gear 12 onward. Should save us a lot of Kyrotech, and more importantly, getting people to engage with the newer content instead of waiting a year to finally get around to it. So I'm cautiously optimistic, embracing for impact for Relic Delta to fully see it, but they definitely kind of tucked it into a largely positive updates here, because now we're getting into the more exciting stuff, the anniversary era. So people are asking me the Zuckus streams, like, what are we doing now? It's like, well, I don't know. We got time for one more era. This is it. For our 10th anniversary, we wanted to do something special with our marquee characters. We looked at characters that were in the game in our original launch back in 2015 and paid homage to them with new characters that have a modern place in the Galaxy Heroes meta. The ones we chose all focus on either lifting squads that feel could use a little help in certain areas, or building entirely new squads out of currently quote-unquote homeless characters. And here we go. Stormtrooper Luke. Gosh, I can't think of an era that I was more excited about than this lineup right here. This is a top tier lineup. Of course, I think people would have loved to squeeze in a bit of Revan in there. Well, let's read it. One step up from Farm Boy Luke, this somewhat short Stormtrooper makes Stormtrooper Han and Prince Leia part of the real Rebel Squad, along with R2-D2 and Old Ben, prior to unlocking Leia Organa. So that sounds nice, because relatively speaking, all the stuff in Leia is not incredibly meta useful until you get Leia herself. So this seems fun, and again, this kind of pays homage to when Stormtrooper Han Solo was a huge part of the early meta in Galaxy, especially when mods came around. Oh my gosh, he was the #1 character in the game. Is that crazy to say? Stormtrooper Han, #1 character in Galaxy Heroes. IG-90. So this is going back to the days when, gosh, I'm having a throwback, man. This gets me excited and makes me incredibly happy and honored. I've been playing Galaxy Heroes since pretty much month 2. It came out in November. I started playing December 11, 2015, or yeah, so on or about that time, maybe December 15th, somewhere around that time. But IG-88 and IG-86, they were big characters back when they had the Poggle droids, Jawa Engineer, Counting up from IG-86 and IG-88, we get IG-90, a notorious bounty hunter who provides Dr. Aff and her squad with a much-needed tank. People were bummed when we were testing out ZWGoH today, and they're like, it kind of sucks. He's not really great for Aff. Like, you could use it, but it wasn't anything meaningful. Stoked. Incredibly stoked so far about that. So far on the list, between Stormtrooper Luke and IG-90, I'm mostly excited about IG-90. Yoda and Chewie, I saw this in the chart, like, how do I get this? I want this. So far, I've been seeing a lot of nicknames, Yodaka, Choda. Take Clone Wars Chewbacca and add one Jedi Master and bake it into a powerful addition to Tarful's Wookiee squad. No more Tarful being Arful, let the wait and see. Asajj Ventress Dark Disciple. As bounty hunter Asajj Ventress looked for a place to belong as she made her way through the galaxy, much like Sion, whose squad she'll join. I'm assuming they're meaning Boba Fett's sign of Django. Okay, I'm listening. Of course, they're gonna save all the details for later, of course. But you know, with ZWGoH and 4-LM, I wonder if she can maybe find a place in that. So Darkside Bounty Hunter, I'm down for that. I dig it. And then Inquisitor Barriss. As Barriss Offee falls from grace, she'll be part of the strong Inquisitorial squad in 3v3. As those potential unaligned force user for Seer June to take her under her wing. Okay, I'm down for that. And oh man, now we're getting to the cool stuff. Darth Vader's duels end. As a stranger steals away Vader's apprentice from legend, this elite marquis joins his new master and the Emperor's hand as the backbone of the true Empire squad, bro. Yes. Yes. Elite marquis. Oh man. Check it out. Check it out. And we also have the anniversary era journey. So all of this stuff here is leading up to Maul Hatefield. I was hoping it was gonna be Robo Spider Leg Maul, whatever it is. Maul Hatefield, rebuilding his broken body from scrap metal and pure rage, the former Sith apprentice Maul will seek out a stranger to give him a new purpose and lead him in battle. Are they alluding to like the stranger, the Khmer? Is that what they're alluding to? I'm not sure if that's what because they were talking about the stranger's got one more character coming. Is this it? Holy cow, that would be a pretty nutty combo. Again, I need more deets on all this. But important to note, the Era Journey event will now begin with the 5th marquee unit's release. This will allow you to unlock Era Journey Guide unit at 6 stars and can get enough shards to get to 5 stars. When the final Era Marquee is released, you can then play the last tier of the Journey event and get enough shards for 6 stars and 7 stars like the Era Marquee companions. The Era Journey Guide unit will also use era levels until the era ends. And then we have the Anniversary Era COLISEUM bosses. So check this out. The Dryax, a vicious pair of apex predators from the planet Wayland. Jotaz, a bulky ferocious brute from the mysterious planet of Zepho. I think that's basically, I called it a mini Rancor. I think that's the one. Pirate ATST, abandoned by the Empire and savaged by a bloodthirsty crew of pirates. Zepho Tomb Guardians, an emotionless trio recovered from Zepho's Jedi tombs. I'm really happy they're leading into this for the Coliseum because there are so many cool bosses I wish I could fight in a more meaningful way. I think I said this already. Really cool they're bringing this in. And then we have the 10th anniversary quest celebration. Starting with the release of this title update and continuing over the next 6 months, we are releasing a series of anniversary quest chains that will appear in all players' journey quests, starting from player level 10. These quests will take a little longer to complete than a typical journey quest, but will be especially attractive for brand new or returning players, granting Lightspeed tokens to accelerate them through unlocking a number of journey guide characters. That said, all players should see at least some benefits from these quests. These quests will remain available until November 17, 2026. Unless otherwise specified, LSTs rewarded in these quest lines upgrade the character to 7 stars, gear 13, relic 0, with all abilities upgrade to maximum level. This includes 8 upgrades, but not Omicron upgrades. Below are the total rewards granted by each anniversary quest chain. So, starting on November 18th, so when this whole update drops, Harrison Dole Lightspeed token, Sabine Wren Lightspeed token, 10 Zetas, 3 Omicrons. Then starting on December 2nd, you'll get an Ezra Bridger Lightspeed token, Chopper Lightspeed token, 10 Zeta abilities, 3 Omicrons. Keep it coming, baby. So you need to complete 1A and 1B to get 1C. You get a Captain Rex Lightspeed token, a Rebel Lightspeed token, Emperor Palpatine Lightspeed token. Requires completing final quest and chain to unlock Palpatine. Does not grant star upgrade, but all the upgrades are the same. Then quest 2A. And December 16th, a Snips Lightspeed token, Jedi Knight Lightspeed token, Anakin Lightspeed token, 10 Zeta abilities, 3 Omicrons. Then on 2Bs, on December 30th, so right before the turn of the new year, a Mace Windu Lightspeed token, Shock T Lightspeed token, 10 Zetas, 3 Omicrons. Then quest 2C requires completing 2A and 2B, the Kellerbeck Lightspeed token, a Jedi Lightspeed token, Grandmaster Yoda Lightspeed token. And then we have the Quest 3A starting in the new year, January 13, 2026, an 8th Brother Lights token, 9 Sister Lights token, 10 Zetas, 3 Omicrons, 3B starting on January 27th, a 5th Brother Lights token, 7 Sister Lights token, 10 Zetas, 3 Omicrons. Oh my gosh, 3 Steam. It's gonna get your 2nd Sister Lightspeed token, Empire Lights token, R2D2 Lightspeed token. February 10th, what you're gonna get is a Princess Leia Lightspeed token, Luke Skywalker, 10 Zetas, 3 Omicrons. And then Obi-Wan Kenobi on February 24th, an Obi-Wan Kenobi Old Ben Lights token, Stormtrooper Lights token, Zetas and Omicrons. Oh my gosh, and 4C, you get Admiral Akbar Lights token, a Droid Lightspeed token, a Commander Luke Skywalker Lightspeed token. My gosh, and it keeps on going, man. March 10th, a Boba Fett Lights token, a Bosca Lightspeed token, 10 Zetas, 3 Omicrons. March 24th, IGD8 Lightspeed token, Dengar Lightspeed token, 10 Zeta ability materials, 3 Omicrons. Oh, then 5C, you get a Fennec Shan Lights token, Bounty Hunter Lights token, Chewbacca Lightspeed token. It just keeps on going, people. 6A, on April 7th, 2026, the Mandalorian Lights token, Cara Dune Lights token, 10 Zeta materials, 3 Omicrons. April 21st, IG-11, Quill Lights token, Zetas, Omicrons. And then after you complete that, you get a Grief Karga Lights token, Mandalorian Lightspeed token, and Beskar Armor Lightspeed token. My goodness. Oh, man. Yeah, they'll keep us busy with all that stuff over the next coming months here, yeah? Well, let's keep it going. We have Pillars of Seasonality. Dude, we're coming to the last bit here, but man, a lot of stuff to go over. Star Wars Galaxy has evolved so much over the last 10 years. As we looked at the future of the game, we wanted to build an ecosystem where all players could enjoy the latest content together. Very important. We established a few pillars for this ecosystem, eventually called eras, seasonality, around all of our design decisions were based and where we looked for guidance. Wherever an issue popped up, let's walk through the following 4 pillars to understand why they exist and how they affect the design of the release. Pillar 1, seasonal play is for all players. Whether players have been playing 10 days or 10 years, we want everyone to play with the newest marquee characters together. The first step to getting all players to experience the newest content together was to put all players on the same footing at the start of an era. One option was to simply grant everyone the units for each event tier, but borrowing units doesn't allow players to upgrade units in a unique way or support theory crafting. Just using borrowed units from an era fundamentally didn't feel like fun or compelling way to grow a roster. So this led to a new progression system called the era levels we talked about. Now everyone would start the same place, each era when playing with the new marquee units, and players could invest as they wanted. Great, but now we had some questions to answer. How would these era units interact with existing rosters in game mode? If it's not the highest relic level, how can players get that unit to a state of competitive viability? What constitutes game-wide competitive viability when players can have a full roster of Gi 7s, Gear 7s, or Relic 7s? I'm going to say that, Gi 7s moving forward. Ensuring that units felt competitive for all types of players in existing modes regardless of where they are going on their journey was impossible. What was viable for one player in Grand Arena, for example, is completely useless or overpowered for another. We could all have picked an average spot that would have these units be competitively viable for most players, but we would be leaving someone out and it would violate our pillars of seasonal play is for all players. Additionally, having these units live side by side also creates an in-game communication issue where the unit could exist in 2 very different states based on which modes you use them in. This left us with the choice. Allow players to use character at a level that may or may not be competitively viable, which could mean the unit is usable by some and unusable by others, unfortunate. And then isolate seasonal play so that all players could use the new units in modes specifically designed to accommodate new progression system. We chose to isolate seasonal play as we believe it is a cleaner solution that results in a better player experience across board and lets everyone enjoy the newest content together. What? Wait, what pillar 2 focus on the fun? Is that a misprint for focus on the money? I don't know. Something must be wrong there. One of our main pillars, but people play games for fun? That wasn't the Galaxy Heroes model. I'm glad they're changing it. One of our main pillars with introducing seasonality was to create an experience for all players that focused on doing what is fun in Galaxy Heroes. Fun, and I said this earlier today, fun means different things to different people, but here, we're define this as getting new characters, using exciting battles, and experience epic Star Wars stories. I think that's probably the safe answer, right? You know, because again, fun, meaningful content, it varies player to player. My opinion is the most important thing. Grand Arena, PvP. I want to play a PvP game of like Grand Arena 24/7, 25 for one extra day of grinding a Grand Arena hard. This distills not only what makes character collecting exciting, but also why Star Wars Galaxy is a game we have loved for years. You are not going to find any other game out there for Star Wars that does this. I mean, I know there's a lot of Battlefront 2 mods going around, right? It's the community keeping that game, well, as alive as it can be without official support. But in terms of official games, you're not going to find games like this where you can have, you know, spider leg Maul and then this Vader and then Khmer and then all these other, you know, layers. Like, that's what makes this game so much fun. And at the first and foremost, that's how I got into this game. It was Pokemon meets Star Wars, right? I need to collect them all. So I would say that's probably the safe answer. People want to play the new characters. And on that note, people want to be excited for new characters. And I think that's one of the big problems this year. At least I can speak for myself a little bit. I haven't really felt incredibly enthused with the characters up until recent history here. For 2025 specifically, I kind of felt like that part of Galaxy was kind of like fizzling out. It's like, well, if the characters you're bringing to the game aren't exciting, it kind of kills what's fun. But again, you know, maybe there are some people that thought, you know, I don't know, Thanos the man, right? But I think it's a small minority of people that thought that. But anywho's, moving on. So how do we do that? In early game, players see rapid advancement in gear levels and a matching pace of progression through early content. It's fun watching multiple numbers go up every day, making clear progress. I mean, that's what makes a successful, you know, core game loop. You know, number go up. People like when number go up. And frequently getting stronger. It's natural that as players get to higher investment and content pacing slows down. This is evident in practically every RPG or game with a leveling curve. It's something to embrace, yet it can sometimes leave us wishing we could experience that rapid progression again. To that end, we wanted new marquees to be usable in content immediately with rapid and consistent incremental progress. These marquees need to be relevant at lower power levels and to receive frequent upgrades that result in direct improvement in gameplay performance. Eras should provide a consistent progression experience to all players. And this pillar informed some of the shaping of the era level systems, but as the primary impact was on the content landscape. We needed one or more new game modes that could be designed specifically for this new isolated ecosystem content where players could feel the impact of upgrades while witnessing large accomplishments over the course of an era. You know, I don't think there's really much I can disagree with that. You know, people like number go up and they like being able to play with the new stuff. And then we get the new Coliseum, Enter the Coliseum. The first of our new seasonal modes provide opportunities for boss encounters on a rotating schedule so players could feel the experience of making significant progress on a daily basis. It also gives our designers space to come with fun and exciting content more frequently while revisiting some of the awesome units that we have created in the past, but we're useful in a handful of times. Now, remember pillar number one, seasonal plays for all players. With this in mind, we aim to keep the Coliseum boss encounters simpler. However, the Coliseum still needs to be a place where veterans and new players can experience the fun of mastering a new challenge together. A variety of bosses at the right level of complexity allows theory crafters to have space to explore nuances while others can enjoy the progression from day to day. In short, we're aiming to bring the whole community together to have fun. Again, sounds good on paper. We need to see it in action. And then pillar number three, tell a Star Wars story. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I don't think Galaxies would be this, you know, of course, Hero Collectors can be a success without Star Wars, but the way Galaxies is, I don't know if the game would be as exciting if it didn't have the Star Wars label. It would depend what would replace it, right? If it would expect the same level or lack of content up until this point. But our love of Star Wars is what brings us together. Yeah, that's the reason why I'm playing this game. I can't find many other Star Wars games out there. It's a wonderful universe full of stories we enjoy reading, watching, hearing, and playing. We want to make sure that through the eras, we're providing deep, immersive stories and rich narrative experiences to players. While the Coliseum provides some narrative elements, we want to do more. The campaign and the overall game need to evolve better to support the Star Wars stories we want to tell. This is arguably our largest update ever to the game. Yeah, I mean, the fact is this is already an hour-long update video that we're reading here. Oh my gosh. We have much more in store for the eras in the future, and that's where we want to continue to grow this pillar with more story-driven content. I'm down for that. And also, you know, this is kind of something separate from Capital Games, but, you know, Star Wars can only be, or sorry, Galaxies can only be as powerful as the Star Wars license in general. So hopefully Star Wars, you know, as a whole, you know, they keep doing some more interesting stuff, you know, down there. I know there's been a lot of conversations about recent Star Wars stuff. Of course, there's been some good stuff, some bad stuff, but, you know, hopefully Galaxy of Heroes, I think it's part of the life of this game. They need Star Wars to keep putting out new, interesting stories, characters, you know, yada, yada, yada. And then pillar 4, eras are the most efficient path for players to progress. The pillar has been a top priority as we've developed these systems. Again, they want people to be able to focus on the new stuff, right? Not have to choose between one or the other. At every turn, we kept asking, how is this helping players grow their roster? Players who played for 10 days have drastically different goals than players who have been around for 10 years, right? I'm worried about how to get my Zuckus team together. People playing for 10 days, you're worried about how to put a Phoenix team together. Whole different priority list, right? All players need to see durable progress from participating eras. For eras to be most efficient path for growing your roster, any progress made during an era needs to translate directly into progress after the era ends. It is critical that players did not feel like they lost any progress or resources were wasted when upgrading characters during an era. This is the reason for several choices included, but not limited to, why eras use unique materials instead of gear relics. Players no longer have to choose between progressing toward their goals or playing with the newest characters. Lightspeed token rewards and era unit conversions. Seasonality provides players with Lightspeed tokens to help them achieve their goals while also growing their roster with the newest era units, all without using their legacy resources. Relic 10 material rewards for veteran players. Eras allowed them to power up their existing legacy units to greater heights by competing on era leaderboards to earn Relic 10 materials. And then era currency provides gives players agency over their rewards. Players need to earn relevant rewards for their legacy roster, and era currency and the new shipment tab will allow you to earn resources that are most valuable to you. With these, players continue to work on territory battles and raid squads, hone their PvP capabilities, and unlock new journey guide chases while still acquiring, using, and advancing their newest characters. And finally, we're taking it all home, the country roads. Conclusion. Hope that this post provides you with a better understanding of how we made some of the choices we did for this monumental 10th anniversary update. We wanted to move to a world where Galaxy Heroes players, both new and old, are strategizing and playing together in the latest events and with the latest characters without feeling like they are missing out on their favorite Star Wars experiences, where newer players can feel like they're contributing to guilds meaningfully without years of catching up, while respecting our most engaged players who've been playing for years. Ultimately, seasonality needs to provide real progress towards your existing goals. We don't want you to choose between playing the latest cool stuff and actually preparing your roster for long-term success. It's a tough balancing act, and we know there will be feedback on how we achieve this. It won't be perfect, but we are truly excited to continue this journey with you all. Thank you again for 10 years of amazing Holotable stories. We could not have done it without you. Again, I say this many times. I tip my hat to CG. 10 years, and I still think this game's got many years to go, right? Here's what I want to say as my closing thoughts. Moving out here, Relic Delta's been on my mind, and especially with this year being largely, I don't know, ignorable, less desired characters. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of felt, again, this era kind of sparked my excitement more, but I felt like a lot of the love I had for Galaxy was fizzing out a little bit. And the Relic Delta on the horizon has me concerned, but I could safely say these characters is some of the most hype I've had for characters of all time, and especially the way they're doing it, plugging into various factions. I'm a huge fan of that. Overall, all these changes seem good. The Relic Delta is unfortunately the sore spot in all this, and I'm gonna keep an open mind. The way I'm looking at this, and I think a lot of you guys can agree, this is a lot of stuff they went over. I think we need to understand that Galaxy is going into a new era. Huge changes. The way we understand the game now, from the economy perspective, the farming, the scrapping, the upgrading, a lot of it's gonna go out the window. So I'm gonna keep an open mind with this added context about Relic Delta, but still gonna be cautious for what it looks like at the end of the day. I've shared a lot of feedback on what I think about Relic Delta, especially the current form of the game. I think it's a bad idea, but did they cushion it enough with this impact they're about to go with Relic Delta, with all this stuff? I think they did as good of a job as they can if they had to do Relic Delta, tucking it in with all this announcement stuff here. I think they did as good as they can with the news of Relic Delta around the corner. But you know what? You guys let me know down below if you guys made it this far. Gary, what do you want me to ask them? If you made it this far, what's your favorite gummy bear color? Didn't you actually taste the difference in gummy bear colors? Okay, well, apparently Gary can. Wow, I didn't think you had that. Didn't think you had that much intelligence in you. Well, anyways, people, let me know down below. Again, just like I give CG props for being around this long, I thank you guys as well. I've been playing this game for almost 10 years myself, been doing the YouTube part of it for 9 years or so in Galaxy of Heroes life cycle. It's been an absolute honor and privilege, and I can say this, seeing this has reinvigorated a lot of my excitement for the game, and I hope all this stuff is going to sound as good as it is, and Relic Delta doesn't seem as bad as it is with the new context of where this game is heading. So guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for being around for all these years. Hopefully, many more years to come. And until we meet again, always remember, it's great to be in the Empire today.
Great to be in the Empire today. The sun never sets.